I think, again, if we come back to this topic, I don't know. I look at my 30s and think, in 10 years, a lot has happened. The last 5 years.
Yeah.
I was in America 5 years ago with Paul, I think. Possibly at an event. Possibly, maybe 5 years ago, yeah. And I was sat next to a chap called, I should know his name. Jamie. God, he's brilliant. He's a big coach out there. And he said to me, God, you've done a lot in 5 years, from 30 to 35, I think it was. Or 30 to 33 or something. He said, imagine if you do that again the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like 5 years is a long time.
AJ
Roberts. What a nice bloke.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
For the things he's done in his life and achieved, he gave me his time. I was in that VIP area where a lot of people probably don't want to bother with you. But he gave me a good lot of time and some good wisdom, actually. And that was good. But anyway, I suppose, I think I was 5 years ago I was there. So the last 5 years have been quite transformative for me. But maybe, I don't know, maybe reaping the rewards of what I did the previous 5 years.
Yeah.
If that makes a little bit of sense. There's this element of, I can feel the sand slipping through my fingers of time.
Yeah.
Watching my little boy accelerate in development, off to school, and it's like, I'm not like, oh my God, where am I? I'm just like, oh my God, this is moving a bit quick. Come on, everyone slow down. I want to enjoy this. Where is it?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like a 30. 30, I was sat in a cottage with no toilet, going to the toilet in the village hall, with no back of the house, with just tarpaulin, tarp down, with very few windows, concrete floors, thinking, how the hell am I going to sort all this out? That's what I remember thinking.
Were you in a bad place then, or just
I'd just taken a few. Yeah, I was I wasn't very good in myself. Making a lot of bad decisions, doing a lot of stupid shit.
Right.
Probably about 29. Unhappy. That's, but I suppose, was it easier to take risks then? I mean, I took some risks then. I spent the only money to replace windows and doors on this house on a mentorship to grow a business, and then left my job.
Yeah, but that's ace. That's really cool. Most people wouldn't dare to do that.
So it put me under some pressure. In essence,
but if you hadn't have done that, you wouldn't be here now. But you'd have some nice windows.
I would, yeah. I'm glad. I'm 100% glad I did it.
Do you think things change when, like, the risk is perceived differently in your head when the kids are there?
Would I have done it if I'd had kids? I wouldn't have been in that house if I'd had kids, because I couldn't have been in that house. It just wouldn't have happened. Because you know what you're going to do for a little boy? You're going to go, I need the loo. Oh, let's drive down the village hall. It ain't going to happen. And I suppose I was in a position where I could take those risks, but I've had people say to me in the past when I've spoke about this, but that's, you never had kids or anything then. It's like, well, you wouldn't have either, you probably still wouldn't have done it. Because we cling to safety, and it would have been safe to stay where I was. But I suppose I'd had that moment of like, oh God, I've got to do something. And that was what it was. And it made me make it work, I suppose.
You burned your boats, basically.
Yeah.
So it had to work.
It was going to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
And the worst comes to worst, you just move, I'd have lost a lot of money and moved back in my parents, and I'd probably be going, oh, well, it is what it is. And that's when I suppose the journey started. So I suppose turning 30 at that point, I remember driving around in an old beat up car. I wrote off this car. But you can, now and again, it's not completely written off and you can buy it back. Do you know that? So I hit this parked car on the side of the road. And, which sounds terrible, but those instances where you'll come around a corner and you think, oh, I can get through there. There's a parked car, and there's somebody coming the other way. But you're relying on them, getting over a bit. So I was like, oh, here we go. Oh, they're not getting over. So I slowed down as much as I could. And as they went by, I tried to whip out, hit this car, knocked on the door. He was like, oh my God, thank you so much for knocking on the door, which was, I was like, I just smashed your car. But he was like so grateful I'd not just drove off.
Yeah.
But anyway, the insurance company said, it's a write-off. But but can I buy it back off you? Yeah. So they paid out 900 quid, I think.
Yeah.
And I bought it back for 450. So I made some money. And I drove that old written off KA for years like that. Do you know what I mean? While I was trying to build a business and stuff. And I probably bought money in where I could have bought a new car, but at the time, it was bigger fish to fry. So I was rattling around in that, yeah. And it was, I'm just reminiscing now. It was so bloody dingy.
But you're doing it with a massive smile on your face.
Well, I'm laughing because I remember a mate of mine making a chili and bringing it over, and he was like, "Mate, I can't look at you any longer on that camera." And I was doing webinars on plasterboard. I'd have stacks of plasterboard in my living room, and I had a bit of paper on there and a camera and doing webinars and stuff. And fucking people were buying stuff off me. I mean, I don't know how that's even possible. But I suppose they were like, "Oh, he seems to know what he's on about."
Yeah.
But that's how Unbreakable started.
Great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's sometimes why you get a bit frustrated when people refuse to maybe
do the work.
Yeah, invest in themselves a little bit. You're like, bloody hell.
Yeah, I get that.
But want the trappings.
I get that from teaching.
You're like, God, it's hard work. It's not.
You're giving them all the stuff and they don't do it.
I'm not even that. I'm
annoying.
like when you go, people will say to me, "Si, I want to grow my business or whatever." And you're like, great. But it's almost like, don't want to make the sacrifice. Not can't. Some people can't. Yeah, but the ones who don't want to. It's like, well, no. I was watching a little clip and the bloke asked Joe Rogan, how long did it take for this to become financially get your money back?
I saw that.
And he said, about 5 years.
Yeah.
Now, he was probably in a position where Joe Rogan, he was touring, yada, yada.
Oh, he had money.
But how many people are going to put 5 years into it before it becomes...
Hopefully us 3.
Yeah, but again, it's you look at somebody who's mega in shape. Yeah. That's not accidental.
No.
Someone who's really in shape. It's years of compounding work, training when you don't want to train, eating when you don't want to eat. And I suppose that's where it's the heavy lift now, as Mark might say. But you've got to want to do the heavy lift. You've got to embrace that. So I suppose my early 30s were that. Yeah. My late 30s have been, and I had to, like all of us, you have to overcome a fair few demons when you go in your closet, mentally. And I suppose that's where I'm going, oh, no, everyone, come on, everyone.
Just
slow
stop
down.
growing up.
Just stop growing up a little bit. I don't want this to go too quickly. But I've had this fear of it moving. But I also think late 30s can be a challenging time for men in general. I don't know, you obviously didn't feel that, but I think...
I didn't.
Or becoming a father, you've had that a bit later. That's been challenging.
Yeah, and it wasn't expected either, so it was very challenging. Yeah. And I took on 2 other children, which wasn't expected, and one of them has a specific set of needs. So that whole thing together was just like... And that's probably when I did that's when my transformation started, because it had to. There's no way that 40-year-old Mark would have coped with what he copes with now.
So, but you did it because you knew that...
Well, I wanted to do it. I wanted to change. Funnily enough, all the things that I was kind of looking for pre-being a dad and being a family man, I've actually... A lot of them have become a lot easier to make happen since...
Such as?
So I wanted more time to me. Now, you could say, well, how have you got more time now? I haven't physically got more time, but what I do is I manage my time better than I did.
Yeah, because you're forced to.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to train with Mark when I was, early 30s. And I had so little to do that I would sometimes go to the gym twice in a day, right? Because I was just literally just sat around doing nothing. One time I'd go and train, and then I'd go back at night and just sit in the jacuzzi or the sauna or whatever. Yeah. So much free time. I didn't use it properly. And now I've got the same 24 hours in a day, and it's still a work in progress because I could do better, but I don't waste much time now. So I've got the time
because you've learned to value your time.
Because I have to, because I've got other kids, I've got other people that I have to look after, which I didn't before. So I always thought that having I wanted more money, right? Now you could argue, well, I was having to feed 5 people, going to give you more money. Well, it made me really work hard at pushing my business. So now my business is working better.
Yeah.
For less time involved in it.
I think sometimes my little theory on that is if you don't have to make it happen, most of you won't make it happen.
Of course not. Necessity is, what is it? Necessity is the precursor to, I don't know, I forget what the phrase is, but it's basically if something's going to happen, it needs to happen. If it doesn't need to happen, it's not going to happen, basically.
For most of us, yeah, it's very hard to. That's why one of the most difficult positions to be in is when everything's good.
Yeah.
So, talk about that a lot. You know, it's like if you're going to move to that next level, whatever that is, it's a lot harder because you've got to let go of some stuff that's working. That's hard.
Yeah.
Than it is to go, well, this ain't working, I've got to change it. That's not so hard because you've got no other option. The only way is that way, so to speak. It's like we're just going that way, whatever, aren't we?